Alright, hello all you crazy people out there, my name is Dragonite, and welcome back to Harvest December. In the last part, I haven't really been in the habit of explaining what's happened in the last part, have I? In the last part, we just witnessed Yuki trying to feed Ren through more traditional means and failing. And in this part, she was falling asleep. It was almost midnight. Yuki was watching Ren in her cot. She was quiet, almost serene. In the morning, Inukai would come to pick Ren up and our job would be done. You must be tired, I was saying that to myself as much as I was saying it to her. I looked around me. The room was rearranged to suit Ren's needs. By the window was her cot. The shoujo doors in the room now had several holes in them when Ren had poked them with her The shoujo doors in the room now had several holes in them which Ren had poked with her finger. The books Yuki used for study, which used to take up most space, were now stacked and put away in a corner. For the past week, babysitting had taken up most of our lives. But now, today being the last, I didn't feel angry or irritated. She's adorable. When she's asleep, I suppose, yes. I started to prepare our futons for the night. It's our last night with her. And your last night with me, too, for all that matters. No, I won't let it be our last night together, Masaki. She was facing away from me, but I could tell she had a smile on her face. I relaxed and sat down on the futon. I couldn't give her anything. Yuki clutched the rails of her cot. Today I did exactly what you did. She didn't cry, she looked comfortable. I could see her knuckles gradually turning white. She was trembling a little. I didn't feel glad at all. Not one bit. I waited for her to continue. Ren didn't cry, I used the same method everybody else did, and she was satisfied with that. It didn't have to be me. It could have been you. And it would have mattered to her, and it wouldn't matter to her, right? No, I don't think it would have mattered. Then what was I to her? Was it just some faceless person? If I was I just some faceless person? If I expressed my affections, she would cry, and if I suppressed my emotions, I was nothing but air. I was just as nobody that would feed her, clean her, carry her, and that's it? Is that all I was? I can't bear that. Yuki finally snapped. I gazed up at her from the futon. I was calm and had been expecting this. I had known that at some point her frustration and sadness would turn into anger. I regretted I didn't do anything for her before it happened, but it was too late now. There was meaning to it all. You helped a powerless child live for a week. Is that another quote from those books you read? Yuki laughed bitterly. She looked over her shoulder at me. I envy you. As long as you can have the money, your time with Ren had a purpose. That's all. No emotional strings attached. Must be easy. Her smile twisted into a condescending, aggressive one similar to Mashiro's. But she didn't wear it well. You have no idea how much research I did, how much effort I put into learning how to do this right. I didn't like the way she reminded me of her mother. You screwed up. That's your problem, and you're just venting your anger on me. That's why, I told her. It's very direct there, Masaki. I mean, there could have been a nicer way to put it, probably. You couldn't give anything to her. Don't make me laugh. It's the other way around. You're angry because you didn't get what you want from her, I told her. I mean, he's not wrong, but I don't know. I generally like to diffuse situations rather than ratchet them up, you know? Anyway, in the end, the only thing you were thinking about was yourself, I told her. Did you ever think about why Inuki-san didn't trust you? Why don't you cut yourself off like that? Why do you cut yourself off like that? Yuki? Why do you need to distance yourself from everything like that, make excuses with money, reasons, books? The cot creaked under the stress of her fists. So maybe I am what you say I am. I didn't do anything for Ren, but what about you? You didn't make Ren cry when you fed her, and you took care of her diapers, that's all. You're the same as me. You didn't do anything more for Ren. What? I could feel my expression turn cold. Tension was rising in my body. Why don't you try to give her more? If you understood her so much better, why didn't you do more? I'm just a part-timer, I retorted, somewhat uneasily. Besides, I thought it was what you wanted to do. I thought I should let you try. Like I said, I couldn't do anything. Yuki rolled around to face me. I swallowed a breath. Her expression was a mixture of fury and sadness. I couldn't tell which emotion was stronger. It's all your fault. You knew my limits, but yet you still left me to do it alone. You left me to it alone. It didn't work out. Ren never connected with us. It's all because of you. You're not making any sense. I probably wore the same expression as she. What does that have to do with me? You said so your affections that I took the right actions. If you expected more from me, that's your problem. How Ren felt about you depended entirely on what you did. That's why I asked you to live here with us. Like I said, you make no sense. I stood up. I'm going home. Yuki didn't look back. Even if Ren gets into a crying fit, it's the last night. I'm sure you can deal with it. You never understood, did you? I put my hand on the shoujo door. Did you really think I just wanted Ren to love me? Bye. Just when I was about to open it. Wow. Both of us, being sensitized to Ren's voice, immediately turned to her cop. Ren. Our ears weren't ready for what was to come. Ren burst into tears, howling like never before. Ren. Yuki picked her up and bounced her in her arms. I waited by the door, watching. Sometimes Yuki could calm her down. I could just walk away. I can't stop her crying. Pass her to me. I should have just walked out, but I wasn't rational, and I walked back in. I held Ren and tapped her on the back in a steady rhythm as usual. She's not stopping. In fact, she seemed to be howling louder, if that was even possible. It's alright, it takes time sometimes, I said, but even my own ears doubted my words. Ren's cheeks were shiny with her tears. I dreaded she would cry on like this for hours. The dread slowly turned into certainty. This method wasn't going to work. Not this time. And then, I realized, you can't help her either. Yuki, after being so high and mighty with your words, you can't do anything either. Ha! I don't know if this is the time for that, guys. She sounded exhilarated. I couldn't believe it. Ren was crying in my arms, and Yuki was happily laughing at me to shame me. That doesn't change the fact that you didn't manage anything at all. No, it doesn't. But neither can you. You're just as useless as me. Yet you had the nerve to tell me off like you were better. Stop expecting me to be perfect. I glared at her. Ren stopped crying for a moment, but then burst into tears again. So this is your limit. Yuki's words hit me hard. I could feel my energy draining away from me, telling me to just give up. Somehow, Ren felt heavier and larger in my arms. She was a burden. What can you do now? Not with your bookish methods that don't work? Nothing. I bet you're thinking about leaving right now. Then what makes you any better? I'll never abandon her. She said that with conviction. Fine, do what you want. I'll just hand her over to you and go figure it out yourself. And you figure it out yourself. I'll go home, take a nap, and that's it. I get paid in the morning and return to my usual business. That was probably the practical thing to do. But it also left me worthless. What should I do? What could I do to exceed my limits? Alright, I muttered. Yuki looked at me suspiciously. I had to do something for Ren to prove her wrong. And I had to learn something from her too. But for the world of me, I didn't have a clue what to do. It irritated me the way Yuki was looking triumphant, condemning me as some useless nobody. I could just push right onto her. The idea flickered to my mind, and my arms moved to... Ow! My face contorted in pain. Yuki looked startled at the sudden change of my expression. I was just as stunned as she was. I looked down at the child in my arms. A small hand reached out to clasp my finger. It was so warm and damp, and held surprising strength. That hurts! That was all I could say. Speech had little meaning now. Such tiny, tiny hands. Ren was squeezing my finger with all her might. I just stared at her, unable to concentrate on anything else. The pain was extraordinary. Yuki was saying something in the background, but I couldn't hear. Nothing else mattered to me now, except that my pain in my hand. Ren was holding me as if she wanted to break my bones. Everything else around me had faded away. I realized I was holding my breath. I needed air. Ren was looking at me as if she dared me to look away. She glared at me as if she owned me. I felt as if she had my life in her hands. She looked like she was trying to say she wasn't going to forgive me. How was that possible? She was expressing her disapproval of me. Disapproval. That was so human. Nothing that lived on basic instincts could express disapproval. It needed a certain level of intelligence. The thought ran in my head, causing me to freeze on the spot. Are you listening to me? Why didn't Yuki notice this change in Ren? Ren was squeezing my finger with such force. Up until now, I had only thought it was a habit of hers to squeeze things between her fingers. Oh. And then I understood. Ren had grabbed at our clothes, latched onto us, squeezed everything around us for the past week. And she had done it each time Yuki and I were in conflict. She wasn't just grabbing on for nothing, she was trying to make a point. What point? I was wrong. I staggered at the truth in my words. I could admit it. Masaki? I heard Yuki's voice now. It wasn't just noise. It was now a voice, and from that I could tell she was worried about me. But I didn't answer her question. It had something to do. I had something else to do. I'm sorry. Ren had always tried to make the point that she was human too. About what? I looked up at Yuki. I had no idea what expression I had on my face now. Yuki, on the other hand, was changing her expression frequently. as if she couldn't decide what to feel. She looked lost. Well? I tried to say something, but then I realized I couldn't explain it well. There was a problem. Well, words couldn't convey what I felt completely. No matter how hard I tried, I wasn't sure I could leave. I was sure I would leave something important out. But I had to tell her. Words were all I had. I wasn't making sense. But yet, however, definitely, I had to. I must. I looked down at my finger Ren was holding onto so tightly. Your hand, please. I reached out for Yuki using my free hand and lifted her palm up using my fingers. The way you would hold a hand if you were the way you would hold the hand of a princess in a fairy tale. Yuki's expression finally settled, and she calmed down. She had known and trusted that I had something important to say. I guided her hand towards Ren. And just like that, Ren immediately grabbed onto her finger. Ow! Yuki's face contorted in pain. It only took a second. I see. I was sure she had come to the same conclusion I had. Ren was making a point. We had been such selfish, pathetic people the whole time. She had taught us a lesson. I'm so sorry, Ren. Yuki's face softened. Please, won't you forgive us? Ooh, Ren growled as if she was thinking about it. Yuki and I had different opinions. Nobody could say who was right or wrong. But Ren had known it was a sad thing for us to fight. It was alright to take a step closer together. It was alright to take a step further apart. It was alright to have a difference so large it was impossible to reach an understanding. But it was not alright to fight. We knew from the beginning we were two different people with different values. What was the point of going against each other? It was human of us to react in anger, to lose rationality fighting against something that went against our beliefs. But it was also something that we had to learn to accept and move on. I'm sorry, Ren. It was as if I was making a vow. Please forgive Yuki. Please forgive Masaki, too. Ooh. Ren was staring at us. We were confused for a moment, but then we finally understood. We looked at each other. I'm sorry, Yuki. Forgive me, Masaki. We had to apologize to each other first. To Ren, we must have looked like two idiots that were forever missing the point. Masaki, do you see now? I was about to shake my head, unsure of her question, but Yuki continued before I could. This is what I wanted. I was about to ask what, but then... Oh. I finally understood. There was no pain anymore, but Ren held firmly onto us, not yet ready to let go. We were all connected. Ren was there, with Yuki and I standing close by her side. This was what Yuki wanted. I had to be part of it. Yuki knew from the start that what she wanted was nearly impossible to have. That was because she knew I would refuse to be emotionally invested, and wanted to respect that. And what did I do? I rejected Ren, rejected Yuki, and denied them all of their feelings. Haha! I could only laugh at myself. I was the worst of them all. I was the most immature of all of us. Yuki simply nodded once. We both looked down, startled. Ren, she laughed. It wasn't just a simple reaction. I wasn't dreaming it at all. Ren Inukai, a human being, had acknowledged us. She was smiling at us for the first time. I don't remember much about what happened after that. I just heard from Mishiro the next day that she could hear out shouts of joy throughout the house. And this is the epilogue time. Alright, I'm gonna end this off here. I hope you all enjoyed that. My name is Dragonite, and I will see you all later.